Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pension Subcommittee of the Budget and Tax Committee. Our first bill today is SB 491, Law Enforcement Officers Pension System Military Service Credit. Welcome, Senator Salings.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I bring my panel up?
Certainly.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Pension Committee. For the record, my name is Senator Johnny Ray Salling, and presenting Senate Bill 491, Law Enforcement Officers Pension System. By law, individuals who receive retirement benefits from the National Guard or the Reserve are already eligible for the service credit. However, other military retirees with comparable service have been excluded. This bill aims to create an equal treatment for individuals who actively want to recruit and retain in service, in state service. These individuals are often being critical and highly specialized, skilled, and experienced people that are in short supply, and they need more of these to cover these positions. We have experts here that are going to testify and going to give you the details of why this bill is important to them. I want to tell you, I believe in equal opportunity for everybody, and I think this is an opportunity that we can speak for the right for these individuals. And I hope we can get a favorable report, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Denise Gilmore here from AFSCME, Maryland, speaking in support of Senate Bill 491. We want to thank Senator Salling for sponsoring this legislation. Senate Bill 491 is a narrowly tailored bill that extends the military service credit to a small number of AFSCME-represented veterans who served this nation for at least 20 years before bringing their skill and experience to the LEOP system. The scope is limited. The bill primarily affects pilots who retired from active duty U.S. military service and now serve in the Maryland State Police Aviation Command. Maryland led the nation in building a true multi-mission helicopter response capability. Our aircraft are dispatched for scene trauma medical evaluation, land and sea search and rescue, aerial hoist operations over land, water, and even cruise ships and law enforcement missions. It is not uncommon for a crew to launch on a search, transition to hoist, and then convert to a medevac mission on the same flight. That level of operational flexibility is rare. The closest comparison is United States Coast Guard and specialized search and rescue medevac units within our armed forces. In fact, the Maryland State Police is the first due response for the Coast Guard throughout the Chesapeake Bay and its tributaries. More than 20 years ago, the state shifted from training troopers to become pilots and instead began hiring highly experienced career professional helicopter pilots. Those pilots have been sourced predominantly from former United States military aviators, and in some cases from foreign military pilots. The state benefits directly from the millions of dollars invested in training and experience that these pilots bring with them into public service. The pilots seated behind me represent more than 10% of the current pilot workforce. Some served but did not retire. Some retired from the Reserve or National Guard. Several retired from active duty. You cannot tell them apart. They perform the same missions. They assume the same risks. This bill simply ensures they receive the same retirement benefit. To discuss the recruitment and retention value of the military service credit, I would like to introduce Mr. Donald Hawkins, an MSP helicopter pilot, the former president of the AFSCME local that represents the non-sworn employees in the Maryland State Police, a former director of flight operations for the MSP Aviation Command, and a lieutenant colonel in the United States Marine Corps Reserve.
Good morning. First, I'd like to thank Senator Salling for sponsoring this bill, and the Senate delegates Forbes and Griffith in the House for sponsoring it. I'd also like to thank Madam Chair and members of the Pension Subcommittee for the opportunity to provide my input this morning. My name is Donald Hawkins, and during my tenure as the Director of Flight Operations for the Maryland State Police Aviation Command, I was directly involved in recruiting and retaining pilots. As a retired Lieutenant Colonel in the Marine Corps Reserve, I have qualified for and have been awarded the 5-year military credit. Like every veteran in this room, my family sacrificed during my active duty and reserve military careers. When I retired from the Marine Corps, it became my responsibility that, if required, to place my personal passion for public service and the mission second to providing the best possible future for my family. I'm also a former airline pilot, and after COVID, the airlines were offering six-figure bonuses and guaranteed upgrades to attract qualified pilots. At that time, I had served only 6 years as an MSP pilot. I was over 50 years old, and I could have retired 12% and gone back to the airlines. When my wife and I examined the numbers, the additional 5-year military service credit awarded after 10 years of service tipped the scales. That credit was the deciding factor that kept me in the Maryland State Police for 6 more years. Soon I will retire with nearly 12 years of service because of that decision. The airlines continue to target military helicopter pilots for transition. Today, we not only compete to recruit experienced military helicopter pilots with corporations and government agencies, now we compete with the airlines. To illustrate the value of this credit, we surveyed the ASME represented pilots who already qualify for the military service. 100% knew about the credit before accepting employment. 75% had considered leaving but stayed in part because of the retirement value created by LEOPS combined with the military service. The responses were clear. The credit is a significant retention incentive. For some, it's the only thing that made the difference. It commits pilots to 10 years and often well beyond. It strengthens the retirement package and is an effective recruiting tool. These are all things that I confirmed as the Director of Flight Operations. I've appeared before this committee several times advocating for extending this credit to our active duty retired pilots. While fairness and honoring service matter, at the end of the day, it's about return on investment. So to further address that aspect, I'd like to introduce Mr. Jude Gallagher, currently serving as the Chief Pilot of the Maryland State Police Aviation Command. He's an FAA pilot examiner. He's a distinguished former Army pilot. He's here representing ASMEA as an ASMEA member and who also already qualifies for military service. We ask for your support in Senate Bill 491. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to provide you with perspective on this important bill this morning. My name is Jude Gallagher. I serve as the Chief Pilot for the Maryland State Police Aviation Command. I'm here today as an ASME representative, state employee, and as a United States Army veteran who qualifies for the military service credit. I want to briefly explain 2 things. First, how this credit has influenced my own decision to remain in state service. Second, the return on investment associated with retaining Maryland State Police Command pilots. I've flown for the U.S. Army, other government agencies, and private helicopter emergency medical services. I'm also a Federal Aviation Administrative Pilot Examiner, authorized to conduct annual AW-139 pilot command check rides. There is significant competition for experienced helicopter pilots in the post-COVID industry. I've had the opportunity to leave several times. Each time, my decision to stay has come back to the LEOPS retirement system and the 5-year military service credit that I can get. Now, regarding the return on investment, we are not a flight school. We do not have the time for funding to teach basic mission skills from the ground up. Our model depends on hiring highly experienced multi-mission, predominantly from the U.S. military, and transitioning them into the AW-139 helicopter. If we had to teach hoist operations, instrument flight in clouds, mountain flying, snow landings, rooftop landings, and overwater search techniques to every new hire, our training budget would rival our current operating budget. Each pilot begins as a second in command. They complete a month of ground school, 20 hours in the simulator, 20 hours in the aircraft, and months of mission qualification. After roughly 5 months, they qualify as a fully mission-capable pilot. After at least 1 year and about 100 multi-mission flight hours, they may be upgraded to pilot in command. That requires additional classroom training and a comprehensive FAA type rating check ride. A reasonable estimate to qualify as second in command is about $150,000. To develop a fully mission qualified pilot in command is at least $800,000. The investment is significant. It is incurred every time we replace a pilot. Recruiting highly qualified pilots is necessary for the program's financial viability. Retaining the pilots we have trained is necessary for the program's financial sustainability. I am part of the recruiting, training, and retaining effort for every pilot. The 5-year military service credit within LEOPS is one of the most effective tools we have to recruit and retain the caliber of pilots required to perform the multi-mission work of the Maryland State Police Aviation Command. Please support this bill.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I believe we have a virtual witness. They did not join. Okay. That concludes the, does anyone have any questions? Oh, do you have any questions? No? You're good. Okay. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Madam
much.
Chair.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for that.
That concludes the hearing on this bill. Our next bill is SB 614, Correctional Officers Retirement System, Dorchester County Senators. I think I saw one.
Whichever may feel better. I'll take the other.
Why don't you go right there?
Okay.
Two virtual? Yeah. And they are here. Good. Please.
The button, of course I pressed it. My apologies. Good morning, Madam Chair, distinguished committee members. It's an honor to be able to present Senate Bill 614. We have two virtual witnesses, both commissioners for Dorchester County, County Council President Lenny Pfeffer and Council Member Mike Detmer. It's good to see you guys this morning. Also, we have Ann Gothrop, who can testify to the specifics of what we're proposing here, but I will just read the statement to you. Currently, Dorchester County is a participating governmental unit in the Maryland State Retirement and Pension System. The bill seeks to allow Dorchester County to participate in the Correctional Officers Retirement System, CORS. CORS is specifically designed for public safety employees, offering retirement benefits tailored to the unique risks and responsibilities of correctional officers. Participating in CORS shows the county's commitment to its correction staff, increasing morale and retention on the job, and offering the county a more competitive position as it competes with surrounding areas in recruiting new officers. I appreciate your consideration and respectfully ask for you a favorable report on Senate Bill 614. We have a letter from the county. We also have a delegation letter in the packet. And just before I pass the microphone off, this is a very, very important issue for Dorchester County. That county has got a number of challenges, and none of least is operation of the detention center. They do a great job. They have a crew there, but it is very competitive and it is very challenging. Enabling Dorchester County or authorizing them to be able to join the corps is would be an incredible benefit to the good work that the county is trying to do. So with that, I'll turn the microphone over. Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. I believe Ms. Gothrop is our only other testifier in person.
I'm just here if
Oh,
you have questions.
for questions.
Senator Mounts
Okay.
did a great job explaining the bill.
Wonderful. Then let's move to our virtual testifiers. Lenny Pfeffer, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Close enough, Madam Chair. Lenny Pfeffer, President of Dorchester County Council. We greatly appreciate you having us this morning. We come here, and again, we're requesting a favorable report on Senate Bill 614. I don't think I need to tell anybody in the committee how hard it is to recruit and retain the public safety workers, especially corrections officers. And for any of you that have ever been in a detention center facility or a jail, it's an environment that is quite different from many other jobs. So we're looking at this twofold. One is that we really need this to recruit and retain good corrections officers. And two, they really deserve it. It's a great plan that the state has put together that they're allowing us to enter into the state program. And with the physical and mental challenges that these officers face all the time, the threatening of themselves and their families and everything, this is a great opportunity for us in Dorchester County. Again, like I said, recruit, retain, but also for the safety and welfare of our corrections officers. So I greatly urge a support of this bill. So thank you again for having me today.
Thank you so much for your testimony. And Mr. Detmer.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Thank you so much for this opportunity to testify. I, too, am asking for a favorable recommendation for Senate Bill 614. And my head knew, after years of consideration, my head understood, hey, we need to do a better job of recruiting and retaining these corrections officers. We have to have adequate staff that are qualified to be able to make sure that the staff members and that any person in that building is safe. and safe at the optimal level. I knew that we were competing against all these neighboring jurisdictions that also have cores, and I knew that cores was a major thing. Our staff ran the numbers, made the recommendations, and I could see that it was obvious, but my heart really started to believe it extra when this past week we met face to face with corrections officers, and I had the opportunity when I asked them how important this was to them, and to see both their nonverbal and their verbal response. I really truly believe this is going to be a big deal in helping us as the council and the county fulfill our mission to best equip the corrections officers in our correctional facility to do their job to the optimal level. That's why I'm asking for a favorable recommendation. I thank you again so much for this chance to speak to you.
Thank you for your testimony. Do any members of the committee have any questions, either for the sponsor panel or the virtual witnesses? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to clarify, Senator, this is a local bill,
Correct.
Yes.
and you have everything that you need in the file locally?
Yes.
Okay, and it only affects you, doesn't affect anyone else?
Yes, but that does not eliminate the possibility for me messing it up.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, after hearing the testimony, I guess it might be our silver bullet.
Thank you.
Is there a letter from the senators?
There should be a letter from the
Okay.
senators in your packet.
Thanks. Thanks very much. Well, if there are no further questions, thank you all for your testimony, and we will move to the next bill, which is SB 724, State Retirement and Pension System Cost of Living Adjustments. And thank you very much. That is my bill. I'm serving as the lead sponsor as co-chair of the Joint Pensions Committee. So why we need an emergency bill? Typically, the United States Department of Labor, specifically the Bureau of Labor Statistics, releases a 12-month CPI index every year. In accordance with statutory requirements, the state calculates the CPI value for each calendar year as the average of all 12 reports from the previous year. However, last year was a bit of an anomaly due to the federal shutdown in October and early November. The Department of Labor Statistics did not publish a CPI for October, so we have a missing data point. So this emergency bill establishes that for the annual calculation of the COLA for state retirees, the October 25 CPI would be an average for September 25 and November 25. Under this assumption, the yield for the COLA rate would actually be 2.698%, which is slightly higher than the previous methodology. Would you like to supplement my testimony?
Yes, thank you. That was a great explanation of the bill, Senator. The only thing I wanted to add to this is the method that you described is the one we chose. However, you all should know that when we found out that there was not an October number being published, we reached out to our actuary. We didn't just come up with this method on our own and think, oh, this is a great job. We reached out to them and we worked with them. They offered us two reasonable methods that we could have used. One was the September-November average that Senator Lewis-Young described. The other was to do an average on the 11 months. And so we'd have an 11-month average as opposed to a 12-month average. We took both of those methods and we tested them over the last 4 years where we had actual COLAs. And we compared under each method how they stacked up to the actual COLAs that were issued. And what we found is that in every instance, both methods produced lower COLAs than over the last 4 years. However, also in every instance, the September-November average, the method that we recommended for this legislation, while it was lower in every instance, it was pennies lower. It was almost on target. There were 2 instances where the difference was $1 or $1.30, but in every other instance, it was 12 cents, 15 cents. So we feel confident that the method we've chosen will get us as close to what we think the October number would have been had we had it.
Thank you for that clarification. Does anyone have a question for the sponsor panel? Well, seeing that, I guess we explained it pretty clearly. I see that we do have some other witnesses, testifiers. Is there anyone else planning to testify? Chandala?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the subcommittee, good morning. My name is Chandala Richburg, and I'm proud to serve as president of AFSCME Maryland Retirees Chapter 1. The men and women I represent spent decades serving the people of Maryland. They helped make our communities safe, that vulnerable people were cared for, and that our transportation network was functioning. In retirement, we need a cost of living adjustment that keeps pace with the real cost of our living. Every month, retirees feel the impact of the raising costs based on food, electric, heating, water bills that continue to increase, placing real pressure on those of us that are on fixed incomes. At this heart, the bill is about fairness. It provides a reasonable way to determine our next cost of living adjustment. On behalf of AFSCME Maryland Retirees Chapter 1, I respectfully ask you to give retirees what is fair and issue a favorable report on SB 724.
Thank
And
you.
I thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Don't leave yet. We might have a question for
I'm
you.
sorry.
Does anyone have a question for Ms. Richburg? No? Seeing no questions, we thank you for testifying.
Thank you for hearing me.
And our last bill of the day is SB 768, State Retirement and Pension System Transfers of Service. That is Senator Carrozza.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the distinguished subcommittee. For the record, Senator Mary Beth Carrozza, representing Maryland's coast, and that's Worcester, Wycomico, and Somerset counties. And I thank you, Madam Chair and members, for allowing me to present Senate Bill 768. And I'm taking my mom's advice. If you can help make something right, you keep working it and you don't give up. And that's why I'm back. This narrowly focused bill would allow a former member of the local fire and police retirement system who is an active member of the state police retirement system and incurred a break in service to transfer his service from the LFPRS local to the state retirement pension system. There is no fiscal impact. Only one individual, Corporal Jason Dykes with the Maryland State Police, is eligible for SB 768. This individual served for 10 years as at a municipal police department, and during that time he contributed to the local fire and police retirement system, which no longer exists. The individual then served 1 year at a sheriff's department, which is not under the state retirement system, before serving 21 years with the Maryland State Police as of next month, where he continues to contribute to the state retirement system. He is on official law enforcement duty today and could not be here. The state retirement and pension system considers his service at the county law enforcement level to be a break in service, thereby the state retirement system has denied a buyback option for the almost decade of service at the municipal police department. In 2005, when this individual was hired by the Maryland State Police, he learned that his county law enforcement service was considered a break in service, but he was not given information about what his appeal options might be at the time. Since 2012, this law enforcement officer has looked into purchasing his municipal time to apply to the state police retirement service. For close to 14 years, he has been attempting through non-legislative means to rectify the situation. He's worked with the state retirement and pension system. He's received representation from the Maryland Troopers Associations. He requested a hearing with the State Retirement and Pension System Board. He appealed that hearing's decision. He was unable to personally present his appeal as he was attending the funeral of Corporal Glenn Hilliard, a fallen law enforcement officer who was killed in the line of duty. However, his representative from the Maryland Troopers Association informed him that the former comptroller, who was chair of the state retirement and pension system at the time, advised him to pursue legislation to address this specific matter. Last year, the state retirement and pension system opposed this bill and noted that this bill would open the door to any individual who had more than a 30-day break in service between membership with the state or local retirement or pension systems. However, the fiscal note states that the SRA is aware of one individual who is definitively eligible for this transfer of service under this bill. Accordingly, the bill has limited applicability. Even though another 30 active members of LFPS may likewise be eligible, they must already be or become members of the state retirement pension system after a break in service and request the transfer of credit before the bill's December 31st, 2026 termination date, again showing the narrow applicability of this bill. I would like to address another point brought up by the state retirement's opposition testimony. And it states that this committee has taken the position that legislation of this nature should demonstrate that some mistake by the state or the agency occurred that now needs to be remedied. The agency could find no evidence of any mistake or misinformation that was provided to the member of the state or the agency. And I am respectfully asking this subcommittee to consider the omission or failure to provide information to the affected individual as contributing to my constituent's current predicament. In follow-up information that my constituent has provided to me over the years, it is clear that my constituent made numerous requests for information from the State Retirement Agency to understand his options for transferring his service, buying back his time, requesting assistance to resolve this matter. And unfortunately, we have been unable to resolve this matter, and I am again sponsoring this legislation to resolve this matter on behalf of my constituent. Immediately following last year's hearing, I spoke to the representative of the Maryland State Retirement and Pension System, who offered to provide options to my constituent regarding the possibility of either buying or accessing his service from the local level. On behalf of my constituent, I'm again following up on that. There was no follow-up with my constituent, and my constituent understands that he would have to pay out of pocket or take a deficit in retirement percentage to roll over his time. So again, there's that recognition on behalf of my constituent. If you look at the testimony of Jason Dykes, he again took the time to outline the efforts he has made over the years. When I first got involved in this issue back in 22, I was hopeful that we could resolve this without legislation. And I worked very diligently with the constituent and with the State Retirement Agency, and then came to the conclusion that it would require this legislation, this very narrow bill that affects one person. And if you look at the constituent's testimony, he points out he's been a lifelong resident of Maryland. He has been in law enforcement in this state since 1996, when he started as a cadet with the Salisbury Police Department. He's aware, and he doesn't understand how a law enforcement officer serving out of state with a break in service has been eligible, and he's not eligible for this transfer of service. He cannot, and this is in his own words, I cannot fathom why I'm being penalized for dedicating a 30-year career in Maryland as a law enforcement officer by not being able to purchase my time of service. I understand, and he says, I'm not asking for something that's not mine, nor something that's not there, nor something that I have not earned. I understand that I will pay out of pocket or take a deficit in my retirement percentage to roll over my time. And I also wanted to point out this individual constituent's service and sacrifices and accomplishments as a law enforcement officer. He has held numerous roles: road patrol officer, officer on the fugitive warrant unit, a mounted patrol officer, a detective, an undercover narcotics investigator, a current member of the Maryland State Police Digital Forensic Lab. He's had 2 incidents in his career where he's been shot at by suspects, both of whom ultimately shot themselves, including one of whom he exchanged gunfire with. He has attended 2 funerals for 2 law enforcement officers, as was mentioned, Corporal Glenn Hilliard and Delmar Police Corporal Keith Heacock, killed in the line of duty. And he goes on in his testimony and says, during a time when this Maryland General Assembly has focused on recruitment and retention of dedicated law enforcement, I am only asking to be treated fairly in a way that is transparent and consistent with other approvals that have been made in the past. And so, again, I'm asking this subcommittee to find a way with this narrow bill to allow this transfer of service and buyback, and would continue to ask the State Retirement Agency to work with us on this request. And I really appreciate, I know I took a little bit of time with this, Madam Chair, but I'm passionate about it, and again, think it's the right thing to do, and it's the right thing to do for the subcommittee and the committee to move this favorable.
Thank you for your testimony, and we will follow up with you on this. Does the committee have any questions for the sponsor? Yes, Senator Gallagher. Not Gallagher.
Thank you, Madam
Bailey.
Chair.
I'm going to have some more coffee.
Okay. I just, not a question, but just a quick comment to thank the senator for your compassion and your how dedicated you are working for your constituent. Right, I worked with Jason when we were both undercover. He is a very dedicated state police officer. He has done a lot of things in his career that so many people don't even understand, right? He's been very dedicated to the entire state and the safety of your constituents. So obviously, we're going to take whatever look we can to try to provide the ability to try to help him. But, you know, we're just, we'll continue to look at it as a committee.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
And we have one unfavorable. Welcome back, Ms. Gothrop.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Ann Gothrop with the State Retirement Agency, and I'm here on behalf of our Board of Trustees in opposition of Senate Bill 768. As the sponsors explained, this bill would allow a member to transfer service credit from the local and fire and police system into the state police retirement system and waive the requirements that that individual be subject to a 30-day break in service. We're aware of only one individual, as the senator pointed out, who would satisfy the eligibility requirements under this bill. That individual had a break in service of 18 months between the local fire and police plan and the state police plan, and also incurred intervening employment. In the past, when special legislation like this has come to you, you've reached out to us and said, can you find any indication where the agency made a mistake or provided misinformation? We've reviewed the member's file, and we can find no indication that misinformation or mistakes were made. The application that the individual completed and signed when he joined the state police plan in 2005 includes information regarding when a member may transfer service credit, and this information states that the member will only qualify to transfer service if the member's employment between the old job and the new job is continuous. In a bolded statement, the application further provides that continuous employment means that you change jobs without having a break in employment. The 2005 State Police Retirement Benefit Handbook also provides that to transfer service, the member's employment must be continuous. From 2012 to 2025, the agency has sent the individual 7 letters and has engaged in numerous phone call conversations explaining in detail why he is not eligible to transfer his service and why he is not eligible to purchase his service under the provisions of the State Personnel and Pensions Article. In addition, over the last 3 years, the agency has met internally several times to try and come up with some way that we could help this individual combine his service into the state police plan. Unfortunately, because of the circumstances surrounding his case, there is no viable solution. Enacting Senate Bill 768 would not be correcting any error, but instead it would be allowing a member to do something that no one else in the system is eligible to do. And when I say no one else in the system, I don't mean the state police system. I don't mean the local fire and police system. I mean all of the systems. This would be allowing someone to do something no one else in the state retirement and pension system can do. The sponsor is correct when she points out that the fiscal note states that Senate Bill 768, as it's drafted, would not have a discernible impact on the system's employer contribution rate. However, it is still an increase resulting from providing an exception to the state's transfer provisions for one member when there is no indication that this member received misinformation. As a result, this bill will open the door. When I say it will open the door to any number of members, I mean not just in the state police plan, across all systems, who also had a break in service greater than 30 days, they would now be able to come back and say, I want to transfer my service in. And it would also open the door to any member of the plan who would just like a special exception to a plan provision that would allow them to enhance their benefit. If this were to happen, the cost to the system would have much more than a de minimis impact on the employer contribution rate. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that explanation. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Gothrop?
Obviously that look. Not exactly sure about that.
Senator Bailey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am curious, when we talk about this issue and opening the doors and that type of scenario, across the gamut of all state retirement, how many requests have we ever received, like Jason's issue, that have said, "Hey, I missed the 30 days. Is there any way?" Do you have any ability to know how many of those we've gotten where we've turned people down in the past?
I am just speculating here because
Okay.
we have a Title 37, a transfer work group that's going on right now. We met all last year on this. And for the state system, how many do we reject? We don't track this because a lot of these are phone calls and people will say, can we do this? And we just tell them no, and then they don't apply. But I would say each year, it's possible we get 50 to 100 that we have to reject.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
it's certainly, Senator, I can check with our benefits division and get an exact number for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? This concludes our hearing on Senate Bill 768. Now, with the few minutes we have left, I would like to discuss some bills that we've heard previously and our one emergency bill today to test the committee's will to determine whether or not you would like to discuss these bills further, do more research, or move them forward. The first bill is SB 444, State Retirement and Pension System, Forfeiture of Benefits. Any thoughts about that? Senator Bailey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We heard this bill, and I'll have to say when it came up, from being a former law enforcement officer, I'll have to say I thought what the senator presented was the law to start with, right? If you had committed a crime of this nature, that you would have forfeited your benefits. And I mean, obviously, I don't want to push the committee, but I mean, if you're trying to get the temperature, my temperature's fine with this bill.
It's SB 44, state retirement, 44. I do have some thoughts and concerns. There was a study done about 10 years ago. Recently received it, haven't had sufficient time to examine it. It could, the ramifications of this could be extensive because it could be very applicable to other areas as well. I'm going to suggest that perhaps during the interim, we do some more research on this to better understand the past study, whether that study needs to be updated, and what applicability this might have to other areas of the pension system. You okay with that? Okay. Yeah. Okay. If that's the committee's will, that's what we'll do. SB 337, Correctional Officers Retirement System, Membership and Clarifications.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is Joint Committee on Pensions legislation. This was follow-up relating to transfers into the correctional officer system for, I believe these were health positions at state health facilities. It came to the System and Joint Committee's attention over the interim that some positions were not specified for the inclusion, and so the Joint Committee recommended corrective legislation to include them. I do have a technical amendment. The positions listed needed some clarification for the actual position name. And then there was an additional provision that's included yearly when we have seen these bills before. That is another conforming change that's needed, that's being passed out right now.
Any questions on that amendment? What is the will of the committee? Would you like to bring this back once again, give it more thought, look at how the amendment affects it, or ready to move it forward to the committee at large?
And just to clarify, the bill is written, it's clarifying it's a CAMH Specialist 1 and 2. It should have, the proper position is CAMH Specialist 1-CI. And it's a technical correction to make the bill provision apply to the actual position title.
Thank you. So we've voted to move this forward to the committee at large. SB 338, State Retirement and Pension System, Transfers Between Systems, Workgroup Extension.
This is another Joint Committee on Legislation bill. Last session from the Joint Committee, there was a bill that would establish a work group to review the Title 37 transfer provisions. Some work was done over the interim, and the recommendation was just to extend it for further interim study, just to wrap up. So it would make the report due October 1st.
Thank you. Thank you. And the final bill, typically we wait till the next meeting for bills heard today, but this is an emergency bill. This is the bill that gives us an opportunity to calculate the cost of living adjustment since we didn't have the appropriate federal data to do it ourselves. Thank you very much. Any further comments, questions before we adjourn? Senator Bailey.
Madam Chair, I didn't know, we did have that one local bill that we heard for Dorchester County. I didn't know if there was any appetite to move that bill today.
I think that one is okay. We do have the local letter.
Yeah,
So if you want to refer it to full committee, I can. Dorchester County, it's
Senate Bill 614.
614. It's a local authorization for the them to join the correctional officers retirement system.
Yeah, pretty
It
straightforward.
doesn't affect, it has no financial impact on us. It just helps them as a recruiting tool.
Yeah, yeah. Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our meeting today. See you all on the floor.
What are you doing, Ann?
I'm just messing with you. But Senator, I want to talk to you about an amendment. I want to make sure we're still working on that.
Each committee has its own personality.